Hello all, I am Theodora, a native from the Great Byzantine Empire, and today I am going to tell you about the Hagia Sophia, the Kohinoor of Constantinople, the capital of the once glorious Byzantine Empire, which remained to be the largest church in the world for about 1,200 years, and after a series of events changing its architectural evolvement, eventually was converted to a mosque. So today, let me tell you the untold story about this architectural marvel which has witnessed the rise and fall of several dynasties across its 1,500 years history, which many of you may not know. So let's get started. First with a brief description about the glorious Byzantine Empire. The glorious Byzantine Empire, also known as the Eastern Roman Empire, was the continuation of the Roman Empire which began in 330 AD and lasted until 1453 AD. During most of its existence, the empire was the most powerful economic, cultural, and military force in Europe. The Byzantine Empire left a profound legacy that would shape human history in the centuries to come. The term Byzantine has its origins from the Greek colony of Byzantium, which was located on the European side of the Bosphorus, a strait that links the Black Sea to the Mediterranean. In time, Byzantium would be an ideal trade and transit route between Europe and Asia. In 330 AD, Roman Emperor Constantine I chose Byzantium as the site of his new capital. Although there are many reasons why he did this, the most likely possibilities include: the Roman Empire had become too large to be administered from a single capital, Rome; barbarian invasions; external aggression from the Sassanid Empire from the east, or usurpations by rival claimants to the imperial throne meant that the emperor was always away from Rome most of the time. Thus, a new capital was needed for a flexible administration and as a backup of sorts in case either of them was lost to either war or intrigue. Although Constantine ruled over a unified Roman Empire, this unity was shattered after his death in 337 AD. In 364, Emperor Valentinian I divided the empire into two, with his brother Valens with him taking over the western half. The last emperor to rule over a united Roman Empire was Theodosius I from 392 to 395 AD. The fate of the Western and Eastern Roman Empire would diverge in the late 4th century AD. The Western Roman Empire would be beset from corrupt administration, infighting among the rulers, and pressure of barbarian invasions. Finally it would fall at the hands of Odoacer, a Germanic chief, in 476 AD when he would depose the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustus. On the other hand, the Eastern Roman Empire would continue to endure. Hence, the Byzantine Empire flourished. The survival of the Byzantine Empire can be attributed to the following factors. Times: due to its geographical location, Eastern Empire was far less vulnerable to attack in comparison to its Western counterpart. Times: Constantinople was located on a strait and thus had superb defenses against conventional siege weapons, battering rams, siege towers, etc. Times: defensive factors aside, economically Constantinople was located at the extreme end of the fabled Silk Road. Thus more revenue found its way into the imperial coffers, and the emperor himself had better control over economic resources. Times: these economic resources would be used to muster sufficient manpower to combat invasions and pay for a standing army. As a result of these advantages, the Eastern Roman Empire was able to survive for centuries after the fall of Rome. Though Byzantium was ruled by Roman law and Roman political institutions, and its official language was Latin, Greek was also widely spoken, and students received education in Greek history, literature and culture. Now coming to the rise of the Byzantine Empire. It was under the rule of Emperor Justinian I from 527 to 565 that the Byzantine Empire reached its greatest extent. Under his general Belisarius, the Byzantine army conquered much of the former territories of the Roman Empire including North Africa. Justinian also reformed and codified Roman law, establishing a system of legal code that would form the nucleus of civil law in many European countries. At the time of Justinian's death, the Byzantine Empire reigned supreme as the largest and most powerful state in Europe. Now coming to the Cameo diamond of the Byzantine Empire, which was the Hagia Sophia in Constantinople, which remained to be the largest church in the world for about 1,200 years, which is a true masterpiece of Byzantine architecture and a significant symbol of history and culture. It is known for its grand central dome, intricate mosaics, and delicate stonework. Hagia Sophia's history spans over 1,500 years. The monument has witnessed the rise and fall of several dynasties. The Church of Hagia Sophia, which means Holy Wisdom, in Constantinople, now Istanbul in Turkey, was first dedicated in 360 by Byzantine Emperor Constantius, who commissioned construction of the first Hagia Sophia in 360 AD. At the time of the first church's construction, Istanbul was known as Constantinople, taking its name from Constantius' father, Constantine I, the first ruler of the Byzantine Empire, originally called Megale Ecclesia, Great Church. The name Hagia Sophia came into use around 430. The first Hagia Sophia featured a wooden roof. The structure was burned to the ground in 404 AD, during the riots that occurred in Constantinople as a result of political conflicts within the family of then Emperor Arcadius, who had a tumultuous reign from 395 to 408 AD. Arcadius' successor, Emperor Theodosius II, rebuilt the Hagia Sophia, and the new structure was completed in 415. The second Hagia Sophia contained 5 naves and a monumental entrance and was also covered by a wooden roof. However, a little more than 1 century later, this would again prove to be a fatal flaw for this important basilica of the Greek Orthodox faith, as the structure was burned for a second time during the so-called Nika revolts against Emperor Justinian I, who ruled from 527 to 565. Unable to repair the damage caused by the fire, Justinian ordered the demolition of the Hagia Sophia in 532. On 23 February 532, only a few weeks after the destruction of the second basilica, Emperor Justinian I inaugurated the construction of a third and entirely different basilica, larger and more majestic than its predecessors. Justinian appointed 2 architects, mathematician Anthemius of Thralis and geometer and engineer Isidore of Miletus, to design the building. Originally, the exterior of the church was covered with marble veneer, as indicated by remaining pieces of marble and surviving attachments for lost panels on the building's western face. The white marble cladding of much of the church, together with gilding of some parts, would have given Hagia Sophia a shimmering appearance quite different from the brick and plasterwork of the modern period, and would have significantly increased its visibility from the sea. The cathedral's interior surfaces were sheathed with polychrome marbles, green and white with purple porphyry, and gold mosaics. Under the rule of Justinian the Emperor, and with a force of 10,000 workers, the dome atop the Church of Hagia Sophia was built in record time. It took just 5 years, 10 months, and 4 days to complete. The Hagia Sophia's design was indeed a remarkable. It combined the traditional design elements of an Orthodox basilica with a large, domed roof, and a semi-domed altar with two narthex, or porches. The dome's supporting arches were covered with mosaics of six-winged angels called hexapterygon, in an effort to create a grand basilica that represented all of the Byzantine Empire. Emperor Justinian decreed that all provinces under his rule send architectural pieces for use in its construction. The marble used for the floor and ceiling was produced in Anatolia, present-day eastern Turkey, and Syria, while other bricks, used in the walls and parts of the floor, came from as far away as North Africa. The interior of Hagia Sophia is lined with enormous marble slabs that are said to have been designed to imitate moving water. And the Hagia Sophia's 104 columns were imported from the Temple of Artemis in Ephesus, as well as from Egypt. The building measures some 269 feet in length and 240 feet in width, and, at its highest point, the domed roof stretches some 180 feet into the air. This central dome rests on a ring of windows and is supported by two semi-domes and two arched openings to create a large nave, the walls of which were originally lined with intricate Byzantine mosaics made from gold, silver, glass, terracotta and colorful stones, and portraying well-known scenes and figures from the Christian Gospels and gold-carved mosaics of Virgin Mary and Christ. Justinian and Patriarch Minas inaugurated the new basilica on 27 December 537, 5 years and 10 months after construction started, with much pomp. It is said that, upon seeing the finished building, the emperor reportedly said, "Solomon, I have surpassed thee." As Greek Orthodox Christianity was the official religion of the Byzantines, the Hagia Sophia was considered the central church of the faith, and it thus became the place where new emperors were crowned. Hagia Sophia was the seat of the Patriarchate of Constantinople and a principal setting for Byzantine imperial ceremonies, such as coronations, earthquakes in August 553 and on 14 December 557 caused cracks in the main dome and eastern semi-dome. The collapse was due mainly to the excessive bearing load and to the enormous shear load of the dome, which was too flat. Justinian ordered an immediate restoration. He entrusted it to Isidorus the Younger, nephew of Isidore of Miletus, who used lighter materials. The basilica suffered damage, first in a great fire in 859, and again in an earthquake on 8 January 869 that caused the collapse of one of the half-domes. Emperor Basil I ordered repair of the tympanas, arches, and vaults. Early in the 10th century, the pagan ruler Vladimir the Great, of the Kievan Rus, today's Russia, sent emissaries to his neighbors to learn about Judaism, Islam, and Roman and Orthodox Christianity. After visiting Hagia Sophia, his emissaries reported back, "We were led into a place where they served their God, and we did not know where we were, in heaven or on earth." This led to the eventual Christianization of the people of Russia. After the great earthquake of 25 October 989, which collapsed the western dome arch, Emperor Basil II asked for the Armenian architect Trdat, creator of the Cathedral of Ani, to direct the repairs. He erected again and reinforced the fallen dome arch, and rebuilt the west side of the dome with 15 dome ribs. During the Crusades, the city of Constantinople, and by extension the Hagia Sophia, was under Roman control for a brief period in the 13th century. The Hagia Sophia was severely damaged during this period. The Crusades stripped Hagia Sophia of all gold ornaments and silver lamps in order to pay off the Crusaders, but was repaired when the Byzantines once again took control of the surrounding city. During the Latin occupation of Constantinople, 1204–1261, the church became a Latin Catholic cathedral. Baldwin I of Constantinople, r. 1204–1205, was crowned emperor on 16 May 1204 in Hagia Sophia in a ceremony which closely followed Byzantine practices. Upon the capture of Constantinople in 1261 by the Empire of Nicaea and the Emperor Michael VIII Palaeologus, the church was in a dilapidated state. In 1317, Emperor Andronicus II Palaeologus ordered 4 new buttresses to be built in the eastern and northern parts of the church, financing them with the inheritance of his late wife, Irene of Montferrat. New cracks developed in the dome after the earthquake of October 1344, and several parts of the building collapsed on 19 May 1346. Repairs by architects Astras and Peralta began in 1354. Now coming to how the Hagia Sophia, which had remained as the world's biggest church for about 1,200 years, was converted into a mosque. The legendary capital of Eastern Orthodox Christianity in Europe finally fell to the repetitive attacks of the Ottoman invaders. Unlike once being the iron pillar of the Roman Empire, by the 14th century, Constantinople had become a weak and dilapidated state. Constantinople fell to the attacking Ottoman forces on 29 May 1453. It is said that in the last days before the fall of Constantinople to the Muslim Ottomans, there was an alarming omen interpreted as the Holy Virgin Mary abandoning Constantinople. The sky lit up, illuminating the city, and many people gathered and saw on the Church of the Wisdom, at the top of the window, a large flame of fire issuing forth. It encircled the entire neck of the church for a long time. The flame gathered into one, its flame altered, and there was an indescribable light and thunder. At once it took to the sky. After the fall of Constantinople to the Ottomans in 1453, 3 Venetian ships fled the city filled with various relics including the altar of Hagia Sophia, which was considered by some to be the most beautiful ornament and the primary treasure of the church. It was covered by a silver, 4-columned ciborium with a lofty vault. At top of the ciborium was a golden orb surmounted by a jeweled cross. The altar was hung with dozens of silver and solid gold lamps and set with candelabra. It was covered with precious stones. There was a famous Great Bible on the altar that was covered with gold, enamels and gems, to avoid their capture by the Turks. But the third, which carried the holy altar of Hagia Sophia, sunk into the waters of the Bosphorus in the Marmara region. Sultan Mehmed II entered the city and performed the Friday prayer and khutbah, sermon, in Hagia Sophia, and this action marked the official conversion of Hagia Sophia into a mosque. The church's priests and religious personnel were compelled to stop and forcefully expelled out by the invaders. When Mehmed and his entourage entered the church, he ordered that it be converted into a mosque immediately. One of the ulam, Islamic scholars, present climbed onto the church's ambo and recited the Shahada, thus marking the beginning of the conversion of the church into a mosque. Mehmed II ordered a renovation of the building. Hence, Hagia Sophia became the first imperial mosque of Istanbul. Most of the existing houses in the city and the area of the future Topkapı Palace were endowed to the corresponding waqf. From 1478, 2,360 shops, 1,300 houses, 4 caravanserais, 30 boja shops, and 23 shops of sheep heads and trotters gave their income to the foundation. Before 1481, a small minaret was erected on the southwest corner of the building, above the stair tower. Mehmed's successor Bayezid II, later built another minaret at the northeast corner. One of the minarets collapsed after the earthquake of 1509, and around the middle of the 16th century they were both replaced by two diagonally opposite minarets built at the east and west corners of the edifice. Shortly afterwards the floor was covered over with carpet and not seen again until the 19th century. In the 16th century, Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent brought two colossal candlesticks from his conquest of the Kingdom of Hungary and placed them on either side of the mihrab. During Suleiman's reign, the mosaics above the narthex and imperial gates depicting Jesus, Mary, and various Byzantine emperors were covered by whitewash and plaster, which were removed in 1930 under the Turkish Republic. During the reign of Selim II, the building started showing signs of fatigue and was extensively strengthened with the addition of structural supports to its exterior by Ottoman architect Mimar Sinan, who was also an earthquake engineer. In addition to strengthening the historic Byzantine structure, Sinan built two additional large minarets at the western end of the building. In 1594, court architect Davud built the tomb of Murad III, where the Sultan and his valet, Safiye Sultan, were buried. His son Mustafa I converted the baptistry into his tomb. Sultan Mahmud I ordered the restoration of the building in 1739 and added a madras, a Quranic school at the same time. A new Sultan's lodge and a new mihrab were built inside. Under the rule of Sultan Abdulmecid, between 1847 and 1849, the Hagia Sophia underwent an extensive renovation led by Swiss architects the Fossati brothers. At this time, the Hunka Mahfili, a separate compartment for emperors to use for prayer, was removed and replaced with another near the mihrab. Hence this extravagant Byzantine jewel continued to be the architectural marvel of the Ottoman Empire even after about 1000 years of its construction. The Hagia Sophia's role in politics and religion remains a contentious and important one. Even today, some 100 years after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. From 1935 to 2020, the legendary structure was operated as a museum by the national government of Turkey. Beginning in 2013, some Islamic religious leaders in the country sought to have the Hagia Sophia once again opened as a mosque. In July 2020, the Turkish Council of State and President Erdogan reclassified it as a mosque. Hence the Hagia Sophia, which leaves back the grand memory of a once glorious Byzantine Empire, and epitomizes ancient Eastern Greek Orthodox architecture. Its 1,200 years old journey and history leaves many of us speechless. It was the largest church in the world for about 1,200 years, and after a series of events changing its architectural evolvement eventually was converted to a mosque. Throughout its history, Hagia Sophia has been a symbol of both Christian and Islamic civilizations, as well as a testament to the complex and intertwined history of the Eastern Mediterranean. Hagia Sophia's legacy is multifaceted, reflecting the evolving religious, cultural, and political dynamics of the regions it has been a part of. It remains an iconic structure, admired for its architectural brilliance and carrying the weight of centuries of history and symbolism. Thank you for being patient listeners. This is signing off, Theodora. For more such informative, untold stories, subscribe our channel. For you it's just a click of the button, and no loss, but for us it is an encouragement to keep telling you untold stories. Thank you.